Welcome to another video in the Dark Tower series. Today we're doing Wolves of the Calla. So this is sort of that Wild West theme again, with a twist, of course. Worlds colliding, things falling apart, twisty. And I'd say the plot moves a lot faster than we have been moving in the past few books. There's a sense of calm, but the plot is tight and we don't waste any time. Getting into the sugar and the vinegar. The sugar definitely has to be the wolves, the main antagonist of the story. They're really intimidating, grey, monstrous humans who wear wolf masks and ride on grey horses, and they're all scary and deadly. And they're actually really malicious, really evil. They're not just like a vague humanoid enemy. They come every few years and steal half of the children of this village, of the Calla. So they're a really interesting, menacing type of antagonists, and I really enjoyed them. And I really felt the need to fight them, the need to overcome them, which is always good in an antagonist. And then the vinegar is Susanna. She is pregnant, and we actually deal with that pregnancy in this book. Unfortunately, we don't deal with it from her point of view. We get to hear what all the men in the area think about the baby growing inside of her. So that was fun, and I will definitely get more into it later. For now, would I recommend this book? The story feels a lot like Roland's time in Mages. He's definitely in his element here. Although the plot is quite a bit tighter. I give it 4 stars. I think this is probably my favorite book since Drawing of the Three. So yeah, definitely really close to a 5-star book. Really good. This is a good solid Western, but it does have a lot more hints and a lot more focus on the main plot of the Dark Tower, that it doesn't feel like it's just being ripped out of the story like we did in Roland's flashback. The intertextuality is still there, but it becomes a lot more different, a lot less coincidence, and a lot more like freaky for the characters. They question their own existence as real people in this universe because of spoilers. So, spoilers. Okay, so the gang meet up with a certain Per Callahan, and we soon find out that he is the self-same man who is the protagonist, the main character in Salem's Lot. He doesn't know this at first, though, and Per Callahan has 2 problems. The first is that there are humanoid creatures called the wolves coming in every few years to steal their children, and they've received a message that the wolves will come again soon. And the people of the Calla are done with this. They want to stand up and fight, but they can't do it alone. They need the gunslingers' help. His second problem is that he has come into possession of a certain Black 13, the most dangerous part of the Wizard's Rainbow, and he wants to get rid of it as soon as possible. The quartet soon realize that they need Black 13, so they have other motivations other than just duty to help the people of the Calla, and so we spent some time there. While battling the wolves, there's a lot going on. We have toe-dash chimes and dish-throwing women and robots with smug smiles who seem to know more than they're letting on. We have cowardice and betrayal and death, and that's not even the main plot. That's just sort of this one mission we're dealing with right now. So there's more than enough in the story to keep your mind busy. The main plot here, thankfully, still revolves around the tower. I was a little bit nervous, to be honest, that we were going into Roland's backstory type of mode again and just forgetting about the Dark Tower and its relevance. But the world is tilting. One of the beams have broken, and the pressure is on more than ever. If the last beam falls, the world and all the worlds will be destroyed, or at least the way we know them will be destroyed. It's not clear what will happen when and if the Dark Tower falls, but it's pretty clear it's going to be bad. So they go toe dash into New York. Toe dash is sort of like walking into another world in a dream. So you can see and experience everything that's going on there, but the other people in that world are not aware of you. And they go back to the Manhattan bookshop of the mind, and they go visit the Rose again, and they get to experience New York again. But they're reliving the time that Jake was there. And they soon find out that Calvin Tower, the owner of the bookshop, is very important. He owns the lot that holds the Rose, and they need to protect the Rose because Eddie's old gang is trying to own the lot and to destroy the Rose because of vampire people, and it gets complicated. But the Rose is in danger, and the Rose is magical, and we need to save the Rose because the Rose represents the tower. And obviously the tower is important. So there's a lot of pressure on that side, on the main plot. And then we have this time in the Calla where it's sometimes peaceful at times. Eddie and Susanna find themselves looking at the children there and wondering about having children of their own. And there's sort of a sense of loss when we have these moments of calm. The loss of the lives they could have led if they were able to give up this mission, if the world were right and they could just stop. They could just stop chasing the tower, stop fighting. But they can't. And I think it puts it really into sharp relief how important and how destructive this quest has become to each of them personally. And I think that really, really made the story just so much stronger. So then let's look at each one of these characters. Roland has become much more human. When he arrives in the Calla, he does a dance, and it's the most magnificent dance ever. And he's just completely in his element. But at the same time, this is different than Magus. Roland is road weary. He's been through stuff. His friends are dead. And on top of all of that, he is starting to feel progressively more and more pain because of arthritis. His road will soon come to an end, and not by his choice. Jake has also sort of evolved in two directions at once. He gets a little taste of childhood, making a friend, but he also grows into his own, going on his own little side quest, actually becoming his own character. He feels a lot like Alen to me from Roland's backstory. But he actually feels like a person on his own and not just like a self-insert here. Or not a self-insert, like a blank character for us to project upon. He has thoughts and feelings, and he gains the ability of the touch, allowing him to have a sort of clairvoyance sometimes and making him a lot more sure of himself, which really helps him grow a lot. He's still very young, but he now seems in this book as if he jumps between a 12-year-old boy and a 17-year-old boy on the brink of manhood and being pressured into it all the time. And then, of course, always there, his adorable little companion is really working much better to bring out your softer side. Oy is not allowed to die. Everybody knows this. And then Eddie here is freaked out and unsure. He is vastly uncomfortable for most of this novel. On the one hand, he is freaked out by Susanna's pregnancy. He loves her. He really wants a baby with her, but this is not his child. This is like a demon. Does she know what's going on? We'll get to Susanna. So he's in the Calla with her. He knows what family life could be like with her, and he wants that. But every now and then, he wants the tower more. He really loves Susanna, but he sort of loves the rose more. He could forget his wife to go after this mission. And he's struggling with that more and more. And it's becoming more and more uncomfortable for him to deal with the dichotomy that he might have to choose between his wife and the tower. And I'm not really sure where he'll go because every now and then he's pretty damn sure he's going to choose the tower. As much as he loves her, he will choose the tower. So let's get into that dear old sweet girl of mine, Susanna. So a big, big side plot in this story is Susanna's pregnancy, but we get very, very little time in her point of view. We get Roland's point of view on the pregnancy. We get Eddie's point of view and freaking out about the pregnancy. We get the two men discussing her pregnancy. We get Per Callahan telling them that he won't allow an abortion. And we never actually get to see what she's thinking about all of this. At some point, Roland just casually lets her know that she's not allowed to have an abortion. And she's like, yeah, I didn't really consider it a possibility. Okay, but why not? Like, if there's a demon growing inside you that's probably going to kill you as soon as it's born and will be a spawn of evil, why did you never consider abortion? We never get to know what she's thinking about. And we know that there is even the second woman inside of her, Mia, the mother, who is sort of like Odetta and Detta Holmes and like another one of her Lady of Shadows. And every now and then Mia comes forward and she eats random creatures in the forest to feed this demon spawn. And it's so interesting, but we only get glimpses from the outside. And it feels really frustrating to have Susanna's story being told by the men around her and being told from the framing of how it affects other people and not how it affects her. I think the story would have been much more interesting to go through her internal struggles. And it's also just really frustrating. We only have one female character. You can't sideline her in her own subplot. Yeah. So I really hated this framing. We have scenes of Eddie speculating whether or not she could be pregnant based on her breast size. Are her breasts bigger today? Are her breasts smaller today? Is Susanna lying or is she acting tough? Or does she just not know what's going on around her? But Eddie is definitely speculating about her breast size. Like, please, can we just not? If there is a pregnant woman with more than one person living inside of her, and she does not know who the father is exactly, but we know that this thing is going to be evil because it wants the blood of innocent creatures and baby piglets and everything, and she doesn't even look pregnant. Why would we avoid her point of view? And just she's already being pushed out of her body by this foreign entity, this Mia that comes from somewhere, this mother that wants to mother a child that she may not want. And then she gets pushed out of her story as well. And I don't know if we're just going to forget about Susanna now and it's going to become a struggle between Mia the mother and Roland. I just I think it would have been okay to keep that mystery if there were more than one female character in the story. But we have one woman gunslinger. And every now and then somebody vaguely comments that it's strange that a black woman exists in a world where apparently there are no other black people, and that she doesn't have legs and yet is as capable as the men around her. That's fine. People comment on that. But what we see is that from the narrative's point of view, from the narrator's point of view, what she has to say about what is happening to her body is less important than what the men around her have to say. And as I said, like preserving that mystery of what's actually going on in this crazy head with five different people running around, that would be fine. But you're literally throwing out the only female character, main character, in order to keep some mystery. And I just don't know. See, this is where it would have worked. If you had another female character to deal with this, maybe it wouldn't have felt so icky to me. But right now, it really does. Okay, so that is my review of Wolves of the Calla. Please let me know what you think. Let me know if you also felt uncomfortable by Susanna being sidelined in discussions about her body. It was a really strange sort of out of body experience looking in at this woman and hearing her husband speculate about her breast size instead of actually hearing what she thinks about the possibility of aborting a demon spawn, what it feels like for it to be growing inside of her. But it would have also been nice if we had gone through the trauma of her being raped by a demon in the first place. So maybe that's just wishful thinking. Please let me know what you think. Like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe. Bye, Whiskers! Hey, Whiskers! This part is for the MVPs who stay to the end of the video. I just wanted to let you guys know that this discussion on representation is not done. Next week, I'm going to put myself out there a bit, probably say a lot of dumb things, but I want to talk about representation in stories because this situation with Susanna specifically, but also a lot of other stories, has left me scratching my head. How should representation be done, and what does it mean when it is done in a story, done well or done badly? So yeah, just a heads up to look forward to that. And I think if you look at that video with this in mind, you can definitely see a very clear example of what I'm going to be talking about there. Okay, see you next week. Thanks for the support, Whiskers. Bye.